Hey, this is Kathy Perry, corporate energy expert, helping senior living teams power up. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about 5 tips for increased empathy on senior living teams. Now, often we're very understanding of our residents and their needs, but are we understanding and empathetic towards others in our organization? Do your frontline workers understand what's happening at corporate offices? Do your sales and marketing teams understand what's happening on the front lines? Well, stay until the end because I'm going to give you the one simple tactic that you can be using every morning to help others on your teams understand that you are empathetic, that you do want to know what's going on with them and how they are serving their teams or their residents that day. Well, I was just recently talking with a group of senior living professionals, and in that group, someone said, "What do you think could be done to improve senior living?" And somebody boldly, and I thought very with some degree of courage, said, "Everybody from corporate needs to come and work at a residence." Now, I know that many people who have corporate level positions within a senior living organization got there because they worked front lines, because they were working with residents, and they know and they understand. But also, in talking with many in corporate senior leader or senior living positions, I've heard, yeah, it's been months since I've been in a residence. And COVID certainly didn't help that. Well, now, this kind of reminded me of like last summer, I tried to play tennis. Now, I used to be a decent tennis player. I knew it, I understood it, the muscle memory was there. But last summer, it'd probably been at least 5 or 6 years since I'd picked up a racket. And guess what? I wasn't very good. So if you're thinking, I know exactly what happens on front lines, I know what happens at shift turnover, I've done that, maybe it's time to go back and revisit that. And that's one of the tactics I want to talk about today in today's videos. What are 5 skills that you can be doing or using with your teams to help encourage this understanding and empathy within your organization? Number 1, teach and practice concentrated listening. Concentrated listening means you are not distracted. Concentrated listening means you don't interrupt. You know, it's a really hard skill to learn, but once you understand the difference between listening and concentrated listening, your world will change. People will say, "She got me. She actually knew what I was saying." So this takes a little practice, and if you begin to implement these practices with your teams, there's some different types of exercises you can do. When I do my half-day sessions on Power Up and Performing, we actually work through how do you become a more active listener? How do you show that you care? So making listening a priority is your first tactic in becoming a more empathetic and understanding senior living professional. Next is set clear organizational guidelines for civility. If your organization has not visited how you deal with incivility in the workplace, it's time. What does that look like? What is considered not acting appropriately towards another team member? Now, I know we'd all like to think, yep, we were raised with good manners. We know how we should treat people. But sometimes that gets lost and filtered out when we're in a professional environment. So setting clear guidelines. What is appropriate for the way that we talk about our team members? Gossip. What is appropriate about how we act with one another on a daily basis, and calling out those actions. So if you don't have those clear guidelines set as an organization, start to work through those, because people will leave quickly when they feel like they are not being treated well or respected. The third thing is celebrate all team members. I stress this so often. because it's important. We have acknowledged your employees day, or maybe it's nursing week, and we have certain weeks and days where we acknowledge, but we have to be celebrating constantly. What are those wins? What are the things? Is there a chart that you could put up for this many days where we reach this goal? You're all looking at this from different types of teams, but work with your team to understand what is being celebrated, what are the milestones, how will you celebrate when this happens? Is it, will you all have lunch together? Is there a chance for a monetary bonus? What are the ways that you are celebrating each other and your team? Fourth, as I mentioned in this introduction, do a little bit of job swapping. Nothing makes us more empathetic to another individual's situation than what? Walking a mile in their shoes, right? Or just stepping in and taking a shift, taking a half a shift, or just maybe shadowing them for an hour. Say, I'm a little out of touch with everything that you do, and I want to make sure you're being recognized for everything you do in this situation or in your position. And also flip it. If you were in a corporate role, bring in, some people who might be in the residence, bring in your directors and say, this is how decisions are made, or we'd like you to sit in on this meeting, making sure that those things are collaborative and you're understanding each other and what some of the stresses and strains are in each position helps build that empathy. And then finally, communicate with empathy. Use the words that show that you care. What ways will people know that you are caring? What are the ways that you communicate? And communication isn't just verbal. What are the emails that you're sending? Are you starting them out with, boom, just the directives? That's not the right way, because it's almost as if you're starting off a sentence without, hey, how's your morning going? When you're sending an email or communicating through whatever means you use within your organization, go ahead, add that softer bit of communication. How's your morning going? Did you have a good weekend? We're human. Communicate with humanity. And then finally, I'm going to give you that one tip that every one of us can do every day to start the day off, costs you nothing, and it shows empathy at the start of every day. And that is to have one question that you use with your teams daily. You can switch it up. I have a few that I would recommend, but first thing of the day, when you're getting ready to serve your residents and be out there, or if you're in sales, serving your families or serving prospects, if you're at corporate level, ask your team members, is there anything I can do to support you today? I think they'll look at you like, what? What? You would do that? We forget how easy that is. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, no, I'm fine. But just knowing that you're there, that you're available, is there anything I could do to support you today? You can switch it up and say, are you feeling overwhelmed today? If so, reach out to me. I'll be here if you need me. Letting people know that you are available and ready to empathize with their situations is the way to build teams up so that you can go out and care for the people that you need to care for. Because people want to be on teams that do understand them, show empathy, and serve with joy. So this is Kathy Perry, Corporate Energy Expert. I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be putting videos up all the time. Short ones you can use for your team huddles, longer ones you can use for a manager meeting. Go ahead, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can find me there. And if you want more information about the programs that I do specifically for senior living organizations to help them power up, increase performance and engagement, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much for watching. This is Kathy Perry.